this is KV Fabian speaking to you from the metro. Last time I'm on my way, this is Friday, to make a feeble attempt at doing some photography downtown and to see what's true and what's not, because there's different stories. The Prime Minister is now not giving day-to-day, hour 24/7 conversations on the public networks on the internet now, and the news is pretty much less involved with the COVID-19 crisis. So things are calming down a little. The city, meanwhile, is slowly getting some things open. They're calling the things that are open the water centers. Well, the water centers have started, so that means we have these adorable little children and their parents playing in the water park right across from where I live, which is nice to see. And once in a while, someone who doesn't have a child like me, I hope, will go in there to cool off. We're in the end of the heat wave. It was a 3-day heat wave, but Wednesday went up to 40 degrees centigrade, which was pretty hot. So I was reading some articles that the CHLSD, the low income senior citizens home, were talking about installing air conditioning, and they thought they should install it in common rooms, and finally after some discussion they said it wasn't practical, so they're going to do it on a case by case basis into the rooms. So I'm watching to see what's happening. There's not that many people on the metro. I see one lady wearing a mask. I'm kind of playing it by ear with the mask so far. If there's a lot of people wearing the mask, or even some will put it on. I'm really uncomfortable with it at this point in my life, living in a convent resident where people are so interested in obscurity, which I feel it's a horrible thing. It's like too much of something. I'm also afraid of the dark. I don't know how that goes, but it goes with all the lights turned off and the faces being obscured. It's the mask situation. One gentleman said, please, people are getting less and less obedient about putting on the mask at this time because of the heat. So if you have the ability, please put on your mask. But for me, I kind of have like a feeling in my gut of fear and sickness from it. It's not a good time. I don't know if they all planned it to start with the mask of the COVID-19, which is actually a very nice thing for some people who wear masks in their country, because it certainly is sensitizing people to some of the pros and cons of these things. Having said that, for me personally, it's a struggle. And I'm going to stop now, because I don't think you can hear me. Here comes the metro. I'll continue to get soon. Now I'm in the metro, and I hear something on the intercom vaguely. There was a noise in the metro, and I don't know if it gets to hear me. I'm not aware that somebody is talking on the intercom, and I don't understand what they're saying. So here it comes. I'll check it out. People are working the distance. And I think I can put on my mask. It's so crowded than it was before. So I'm going to do that, because you can't maintain the distance of what they say, 6 meters. I think it is 6 meters actually, where I'm sitting next to the person. Hold on. So I put on my mask now, and I wonder if you can hear me as I speak through it. And I have no way to check how many persons that's found. Like last week, I had fear. A lot of fear in my stomach. But I also am someone who, first of all, believes in the metro system and the value and worth of it and beauty, and all the people that are talking about not going on the metro where I see never do. So it's not that big of a problem to me. To me, it's a pretty big loss. Now I'm watching again the red lines on my machine, looking to see. I can't figure out where the microphone is, because I don't know which way, if it's on the top or the bottom. And I'm looking for it. I have my
those ones get smaller. I think it's probably because the train's making noise that the lines are small. But if I'm lucky, and it's happened before, if I put this, if I call pictures for people around, I write a little picture for me so you can just see it. Because you know it's a rigorous problem, but since I don't receive anybody by my personal thoughts, I write a couple of deals so at least you understand what I'm trying to once in a while. I have my backpack on. I have a nice blue black baseball cap on with my mask. And I'm ready to go to my shop. I'm going to go inside. I just want to take some pictures and see what's going on. It's Friday afternoon. And I also find that I got some nice pictures last week. One of the nice things about it is that the architecture seems to be somehow sparkling free. And you can see pretty much, right? If you don't see all this bustle and bustle of activity of people, you get to look at the building. So that's good for me. So another reason a lot of us don't look at my blog and my writing about the beauty of the importance of architecture. I'm going to turn this off because I don't think it's necessary. And I'll catch you again when it's less noisy. Because
I don't know. They say that they don't say that you should stay at home all the time. Prime Minister Trudeau, near the end of when he was online all the time, was not saying you have to stay at home all the time. He says if you're sick, stay at home all the time. And like I said last week, some people really trip on the downtown sector. And besides which, I exercise a little bit, not too much. I have some stuff to do at night. The train gives me the time to go a little bit further. It's like, I don't know, it's like some sort of link to somewhere glamorous. And again, I come back to something that I don't think is very important, or matter of fact, greatly dislike, the question of beauty and design. Where I live now, it's extremely hot because we're in the middle of a heat wave, and we have people have the curtains closed and the lights closed, and I didn't see, but it looks like the windows closed and one fan going on, so we're like in the dark. It's so dark I can't see my food. It's so dark I can't see if I put salt on my food, and I guess it's a sensitive time. I listened to the gentleman who's forming policy for our home, and he gets all sorts of questions of people. I find them more than hopeful questions of people who don't want to do something and say, oh, it's forbidden. No, you can't do this, because they really don't want to do it in the first place. And that's one of the things I find. Since he speaks he doesn't want to speak that much, as they don't. He answers as quickly as possible, but the questions come a lot to something that I dislike, actually, and don't agree with. As I get older and the time goes on, I could come out from a long winter. I find myself more and more in the room, the little tiny room, which is my world. And luckily for me, the COVID-19 crisis gave me a good chance to catch up on a lot of this undone paperwork. So that's a positive thing. Another thing, I have the courage to divide my week into different sections to tackle various different projects, and that took a couple of months of staying inside for me to figure out just like even where to start, how to break it into even manipulable pieces. And now it's done. That's done. So that's something very good that's done. And here comes the metro and the white noise. So I'll leave you again. So I've got my camera on my neck, and I'm trying to find a way to get out to the street. The promenades are closed. I'll find another escalator up, and soon I'll be out, and I'll be taking some pictures. I don't have many people I take pictures of, but I like to take the pictures to give me a kind of an inclination how my life was at this time. It's so I like, that's why my pictures are good. That's why I try to make them as good as possible. They're a personal tool. It has like a personal thing. It hits the heart, you know. And here I am. I'm back to camera work. So I take the metro to the downtown section where to get out at the McGill Metro, which is still closed. I watch two young men in pretty kicky rock and roll t-shirts going down, trying to get into the Eaton Center, and I wait at the door as the gentleman who's sitting in the desk explains to them, which I find out as they leave, that you have to go somewhere else. You can't go through the Eaton Center. As I leave the building, I watch the time out market sign, and I feel a pang of regret that it's so abandoned at this time. It just opened up, which it was great hopes and all sorts of fanfare. So I get out and I go pretty much, I find another entrance than what I did about a week ago. And I get out and as I walk downtown, I see that the construction still looks the same as it did in the middle of the winter, which is all the streets are torn up on St. Catherine near the bay and well, around there. And it looks, all it's missing is the people. Now I see that I don't think I can get out the way I wanted to. I'll have to go outside. I come to the train station. I went to the McGill Metro and I didn't think I would find a place to go to the bathroom, but I knew the train station Bureau of Staples was open. So that made me clear what my itinerary would be. I would go from St. Catherine Street and down to the train station, make a pit stop, and then head on my way back home. The gentlemen, the management of the house, are asking us to please wear the mask because many people are not, as a show of support. But I feel that's not my show because it's been done before. I feel like a non-person. Some people love it, some people don't. But I do try to listen as much as possible. You know, don't make waves. I don't bother. If I can, I will bend over backwards to let other people have their way. And if I feel irritated, I will scurry back to my room and stay there. So I try my hardest as much as possible to listen, but sometimes I find it difficult. This is a pretty conservative and not right-wing or radical order, I find. And as it was stated to me, because we had a talk with some experts, you have to understand it. You have to see what you could do and that you can. I have to tell you, my conscience is clear as much as possible. Let's listen as much as I could. The last time I went on the bus or the metro was a week ago, and I did it as a certain sleep, after lack of sleep, for the simple reason that I think the people who are making policy don't usually pay and use the metro. I, for one, am scared because this thing could close, you know. It needs support. Right now, this is festival time, and the metros would be full. A large amount of income is trouble. But having said that, I understand the authorities and the whole thing about COVID-19 as I go through these huge the downtown center, I see these huge super buildings with tons, it seems large housing complexes for very wealthy people. And again, I feel a pang of regret as I see right away this beautiful, brilliant building with all the hopes and the people living in there is for sale very quickly. I don't know, I'm not much one who likes to take pictures of tragedy. Mostly I look for beauty. But the first and foremost thing I see is the barriers, and the barriers strike something in my heart, and I find it in a certain moving sympathetic chord to it. So I take a lot of pictures of barriers at downtown and these beautiful buildings. As I walk down, all of a sudden, I see a bed of flowers and then another and another, and my heart lifts. I don't know why flowers make me feel so good. Probably it's the colors, and somebody's tending to them. I've never been so optimistically thrilled to see a simple bed of two legs. And they were there, and I take pictures of them first with my camera, and then with my cell phone. The cell phone does a lot of close-ups better. The Staples is open as they sent me a message they were, and I see a Starbucks is open for takeout only. And now I go on my way down into the metro, into the bus, and back home. I feel good. I feel I'm not one that takes exercise lightly, and I have to have something besides exercise to do. And just to sit there and go on the grind doesn't impress me. I'm not a gym rat. But when I do something important or artistic, like take pictures, then it's a whole different ballgame. I feel I could walk a lot more. I do walk a lot more effortlessly. It's a question of empowerment. What turns you on? Some people, they have too much stimulation, and to sit there with a camera to take pictures would bother them with the walk. They don't even want to see the buildings. Maybe they like the obscurity, the darkness, or nothing at all, like white. But me, when I exercise, I remember my old days as a teenager when I was going skiing in the Laurentians, where we went to these big mountains, and they had the most beautiful views of the snow and the scenery. It was magnificent, and it was all quiet. It was gorgeous. I think it's maybe from that I know that if I want to exercise and feel good about it, instead of feel like drag, I do something creative. And now my heart lifts again as I pass a couple of really picky, brightly colored posters for the Cathcart. And the Cathcart is a new restaurant complex. They have these really nice fun posters all over the train station as I get into the Place Bonaventure station. Back home I had my walk. Supper tonight, well, I got a hell of a beautiful eggplant from my order, which I ordered online, and something else. I have some freshly made mussels, I think in wine sauce, waiting for me tonight, and I feel I could do it. I thought I might not be able to make it, but it's exercise. Before I do that, I'll stop at the grocery store and pick up a nice fresh baguette. And as I near the metro, I'm going to turn off my system for a while until the mood to speak moves me again. KP Fabian speaking to you from downtown Montreal during a downtown rupture.